All right, Ellen. Hi. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your family and your kids.
So it's me and my husband Eric. We've been married for coming up on 6 years in May. 6 years in marriage. We have 2 kids. We have Beckham, who is 3.5, and then our Parker girl, who is almost 1.5. Beckham has autism. He's being diagnosed for autism, and Parker is is very normal.
Yeah.
So they're good kids. They're crazy, but they're good.
Good. Do they get along?
So Beckham is very much his area and his space, and Parker's very much I want to be in everyone's space. And so sometimes they have really sweet moments, but most of the time it's a lot of smacking and taking things from each other. Big brother, big sister, it'd be like that anyways. And so I know that they love each other.
That's good.
There's lots of
okay, so then that kind of leads into like the second question. What are the most challenging aspects as parents with having a child that has special needs?
It's probably comparison, especially with social media. All that you see is people and their perfect kids in their perfect houses with their perfect lives, and especially right now that everyone's at home, people are doing activities like gardening and painting and all these really cool things that you want to do with your child, but because they have different interests, because their brain works differently, it's just different. And so it's really easy to get down and feel sad that you can't do these things with your child. And then especially when we had my daughter and we brought a second child into the mix with having a child with special needs, because she's excelling as much as she is and she's doing so well and she's being animated, it makes me rethink my son's whole childhood and things that indicated that he had autism early on that I just didn't see because I didn't know. And so it's guilt too. So it's the comparison, and then it's the guilt, always feeling like you could have done more. That probably is the worst thing, the most challenging thing about having a child with special needs.
Thank you. That's really well put. Thank you so much. And then it goes perfectly, segues to our next question. So the next question is, what is probably the most rewarding thing with having Beckham in your life?
Seeing the way that the mind can work when it doesn't have. It's funny, when people look at child with special needs, all they see is that the mind has limitations, but I see it differently. His mind doesn't have limitations, and so it works in different ways than other children do. The way that he'll put together things that you would never think would go together. When you look at artists and the way that they paint and the way that they do things, and that it just works so differently, and that's just because their mind is beautiful. And that's how kids with autism is they see things differently, they put things differently, and it's amazing being able to watch this special spirit work things out in ways that you never could or never would even think so. I love hearing these theories and these observations that people like Albert Einstein and Mozart could have been on the spectrum, because it 100% makes sense that they were able to see things that I, as a person who does not have autism, can't see, and they were able to create these masterpieces and these different ways of thinking that truly benefit the world. And so I feel really special being able to observe that and be a part of that.
That's so great. I actually saw, I can't remember what country it is, but it is the translation of autism in their country, and it means being in their own time and space.
Yeah.
And I just think that's just wonderful.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So what message would you like to share with new families just learning that their child has autism or has a developmental disability?
That it's okay to be sad. I think a lot of the times when a child gets diagnosed with special needs, people will say, well, you need to be grateful because at least you have your child. and that's 100% true. Lots of people don't get to spend this time in their life with their children. But at the same time, when you reach that diagnosis, it's kind of like this huge, I won't even say stumbling rock, it's a boulder that just completely knocks you off your path. You have this idea of this life that you want for your children because you want them to be happy and successful. And when anything messes that up, it can absolutely be devastating. And I found that through my experience, when I didn't let myself feel the sorrow for the life that my son might not have, I didn't let myself mourn that I wasn't completely accepting the diagnosis because I was blocking out the parts I was feeling. So something that I would totally recommend to parents, aunts, uncles, like it affects a lot of people in the child's life, is to be sad. Let yourself be sad. Because it stinks. It's scary. It's different. You're not an expert. You have no idea what you're doing. So I think it's good to just let the time to be sad and cry, and then that's it, and then you move forward.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself not feel things because you feel like you need to be the strong one for your child. You can't be a strong person if you're falling apart inside. So you need to feel it and then go forward with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have this quote in my house that says, "Come what may and love it." And I live by that through and through, because I think it's just so important to live in the moment, but also realize that there's gonna be an end result that's supposed to happen, and it's just meant to be, and that it can be hard. It really can, but I think it's important to have that realization and just know that it's gonna be fine. It's okay to be sad. Pain is pain, and don't let anyone tell you that your pain is different than someone else's.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. In your experience, what is the biggest misunderstanding people or parents have when it comes to children with special needs?
That you have to baby them. A lot of times, and that's just people's natural response because they don't want to be offensive and they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But with my son, if he's acting in a certain way in a store or towards somebody, if I just explain that, I'm so sorry, he has autism, that's why he's doing what he's doing, they take it as oh, I have to be so fragile and gentle. And it's no, that's just for your benefit that you know and you can understand. You should still talk to him the same way you would talk to any 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old. They are these smart, wonderful human beings. We almost equate autism to being stupid, and that's not what it is at all. But that's just something that we're still breaking that stereotype, is that they are so incredibly bright and intelligent. They understand what you're saying. And so something that I always encounter is people try to be extra gentle and extra fragile and extra whatever, when they really don't need to be. If you talk to my son like how you talk to any other child, he's going to understand you. And I think in the end, he's going to deeper appreciate it.
I agree. Thank you. Okay, last question that I have for you is, if there is one thing you hope other parents can take away from your story with your son and raising him, what would it be?
That you're not alone. There are so many kids out there and so many parents who are going through the same stuff you are. And you'll find it on any social media platform, these parents with special needs and autism who come together. And that was something that was so incredibly beneficial to me that I really didn't think was going to be beneficial, was adding myself to an autism parents group. And this woman put it in a really wonderful way on a comment when I introduced myself, is see it, this is a space where it definitely makes it feel more normal. And sometimes parents with special needs, they need a little bit of that, where it's my child is normal. There's so many kids out here who are like this. It's really easy to feel like you're all alone when it comes to the different kind of diagnoses with your children, whatever it may be. And it's just so not true. We live in an incredible time where where across a phone screen or a computer screen, we can connect with people who are going through the same things that we are. And so it's just like, you are not alone. This is normal, and there's so much help if you just ask for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.